Blog Talk Radio, the world's largest online radio network.
Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to the Metropolis. We are glad that you have rejoined us here this week. I had an amazing time last week in New York City at the Blog Her National Conference. I got a chance to open the conference with President Obama, videoing in, Skyping in, and then we had Martha Stewart as our keynote for Friday, and then Katie Couric as our keynote for Saturday, and also a panel with Soledad O'Brien from CNN. It was just awesome, and got a chance to see my family and get my baby cousins together. So all in all, I was very grateful to have a chance to speak at and attend the conference. And what do you think I spoke about? How to create and host a killer radio show. And it was a wonderful session. We had about 300 girls there that were interested in podcasting. So I'm also especially honored and grateful today. I got notification that I was chosen as one of the top 100 small business champions for this year from smallbiztrends.com, and I'm seriously honored because that's from my peers, and I'm grateful to everybody who voted for me and supported me. So today I am joined by Jenna Goudreau, who is a Forbes journalist. She covers the women's beat, if you will, women's leadership, women in business, and she, has been with Forbes for a while. And prior, she was with BusinessWeek, Ladies Home Journal. She's been on CBS, Fox, CNBC, and she contributes to Forbes annual lists of Worlds Billionaires. We're going to talk about the world's 100 most powerful women today that's coming out soon. And she's also won a Best in Business award from the Society of American Business Editors and Writers. So I'm very, very excited to have Jenna on today. Good afternoon, Jenna. Thank you for joining us.
Hi. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, my pleasure. My pleasure. Are you enjoying the Olympics and all the women who are like rocking it this year at the Olympics?
Absolutely. It's incredibly addicting. Every day after work, I've been putting it on. I personally love gymnastics, so it was very exciting to watch the U.S. team and Gabby Douglas win the gold. Yep.
And the team win the gold. And when you looked at all the backstories and all the stuff about the girls, I mean, each one of them was a prominent piece of their own, a prominent gymnast of their own, but they came in with such a team attitude, and that's what made them win the team gold. And that was just so obvious and so prominent and so awesome, right?
Absolutely, and I think women have really shown pretty well at the Olympics this year. I was reading recently that every nation sent at least one woman, and actually there are more women that were sent for the U.S. than men. So it's definitely a big year in women's sports.
It is, and I heard another statistic yesterday on NBC about the medal count, the U.S. medal count, which I think is around 34, might be more by now, but 34, and of the 34, 23 of them were women.
Wow,
and
that's incredible.
Isn't that incredible? And that is, it's definitely, and I think that's going to be the tone of our conversation, because I really feel like women are coming into a new prominence now as a power demo and a leading bloc in a lot of ways. I don't always know that women think of themselves that way, but they are. And I've watched this trend grow since I launched my business in 2006. Started doing a lot of stuff in the women in business space and started looking at a lot of statistics and watching prominent women. And I've been following Forbes for all those years because you do such great work with the women in business space. So what are some of the most dynamic trends that you've seen, as a journalist, develop for women in business? And how do you think the generations play into that?
Sure. Well, I think you're absolutely right. I think we're really starting to see women come into their own across a lot of different sectors, but particularly in business, which is something that I cover regularly. Now, 51.5% of all professional and managerial positions are held by women, so that's more than half. Women are getting almost half of business degrees in the U.S. now. And, I think at the very top, the numbers are still low, but we're also seeing a lot of new faces come into CEO positions at major corporations in the U.S. I mean, just in the last year, we had Virginia Rometty at IBM and Marissa Mayer at Yahoo, which was gained a lot of buzz, and Denise Morrison at Campbell's, and the list goes on and on and on. But, I think that we're starting to see women come into their own in middle management. We're seeing them climb all the way to the top, and maybe what's even more exciting is they're waiting in the wings. Several women are holding president positions, CFO, COO, and so they're one step away from that top position, and I think it's inspiring and good news.
Well, and I read an article late last year about this, and the article, the idea of the article was that, there's a lot of women that don't really want to go that vertical. I mean, they want to be in the business space, they want to have a career, they want to be successful, but they don't necessarily want to go that vertical. And, we always ask the question, why aren't there more women CEOs? And, and if you look at the boards of companies and nonprofits, women have a great prominence there. But as far as, those top CEO and mid-manager positions, I mean, there's women that want that, and then there's women that don't. What do you think about that?
Well, it's a huge commitment, right? And you're going to have to make some sacrifices in order to take on that kind of responsibility. So I agree. I mean, culturally, I think women are still, they're generally the primary caregivers. They're very focused on their families. I've even heard anecdotally from women that they're just not willing to give up everything that they'd have to give up to make that kind of leap. And so that's not, for some women, even on their radar. They're very happy with having, a management position with a little bit less responsibility than something like a CEO position. But that said, there are still a ton of very ambitious women, and I think many do want that. So I think it's just a matter of honoring individual choices.
Well, how do you see the generations playing into this conversation? I mean, because I'm a baby boomer, and I am so not done. I am so not done, and I have, evolved through a few careers that all weave themselves together. But, 5 years ago, I left a 24-year career in broadcast radio sales and management in the Miami area, and I said, you know what, there's a next for me. And I launched my consultancy and training company in 2007, and now have evolved to be an author and a journalist myself, and writer and speaker, and not necessarily only for women, but in the small business space. And I'm so not done yet. And I mean, I know a lot of baby boomers that are having a lot of difficulty right now adapting, to the current workplace. But having said that, I mean, Gen X and Gen Y are definitely leading the charge. What do you think?
Absolutely. Well, so much has changed in the modern workforce, and I think, in many ways, what I'm seeing with Gen Y, particularly women, is that they're job hopping a little bit more. They're really looking for meaning in their jobs. They don't want to go to a 9 to 5 and be chained to a cubicle. They really want to do something that they love and that inspires them and that they feel is impactful. So what we're seeing is a lot of movement. Instead of climbing up the ladder, they're kind of zigzagging around to different jobs. Like you said, I think Gen Y and Gen X probably have a little bit of an edge when it comes to technology and evolving mediums like social media. But what I'm actually really excited about is that I think that Gen Y and Gen X, but particularly Gen Y, women really have a benefit when it comes to their men. And when I say that, what I mean is that women in business only succeed if they have the help of men. And they grew up as equals. The relationships between men and women seem more fluid. They're willing to take on different roles in terms of family and primary breadwinning. And so I think that is really encouraging, and that 20 years from now, we're really going to see a lot of change.
I couldn't agree more with that. I think a lot of Gen X men as well. I'm seeing a lot of Mr. Moms and
Exactly.
a lot of articles and statistics out with regard to, women going to work and men taking care of the families right now, and that's just the way it is. It's not anything but circumstantial. I mean, if a woman is the one who's got the job and the breadwinner today, so be it. And then a lot of men are enjoying being in that role now. And I mean, I'm seeing guys, there's online groups, there's meetups, there's park dates. I mean, it's really kind of cool.
Absolutely. I mean, if you allow roles in a relationship to be more fluid and not based on gender, then I think everyone's happier, right? Maybe one person can take the lead while the other takes some time and lays back and handles the family responsibilities. And I think that gives everyone a little bit more balance and flexibility.
Well, and it's good to see that, because some of the role playing really is passé in the world we live in today. I mean, it is a time of great opportunity for men and women to have meaning in their careers, their jobs, their families. I mean, pretty much anything goes right now. If you want to have the life that you want, you go for it, and you find the right person or people to make that happen with. Well, just wanted to go back here for a second. Tell us a little bit about your background and your bio as far as you getting to the journalism, the Forbes job here. But I know that you were you wrote for Ladies Home Journal and BusinessWeek as well.
Yes, I have. I got a journalism degree at New York University, and I spent some time at both BusinessWeek and Ladies Home Journal. I came into Forbes about 4 years ago, specifically to write about women's leadership. And while I've been at Forbes, actually, I helped launch the Forbes Woman channel online, which I would recommend everybody go check out. It's a really dynamic channel of Forbes.com. And we have about 100 contributors writing about women in business, women-owned businesses, so female entrepreneurs, writing about work balance issues that you and I have talked about. So it's really, it's a great site, and it's been up about 3 years now. And so I write for Forbes magazine about female subjects, usually, and also I contribute to this channel of Forbes.com.
Yeah, it's a great channel. I've been following it actually for a couple of years, and it's just there is great diversity there with regard to generations. I'm seeing a lot of young, women of your generation, but also some women of my generation adding to the mix. There was a post yesterday I commented on about dear or high. Did you see that? Dear or high? And now it's like the instead of dear so and so, people are going hi.
I prefer hi.
I know. Well,
maybe that's a younger generation thing.
Well, but here's the comment I said, and this is how I look at it. When you don't know somebody yet, and you are on a more formal basis with them in that get to know you phase, I think dear is totally respectful and appropriate. But once you've gained some some relationship props here, then you can start getting more personal. So for me, it's always about going from that formal to personal. So, if I start off with calling somebody dear John or dear Judy, that's great. That's respectful. And then as we grow the relationship, it's hey Judy, hi Judy. I mean, because that shows that the maturity of the relationship. That's how I think about it.
Yeah, I think that's great. It's really interesting to think about email etiquette in today's age, because I've even heard some people say, "Oh, email won't last that long. Soon it'll all be text and instant message, and we won't even need it," which I don't agree with. But so many people have different styles. I've communicated with a lot of powerful people who don't say hi or dear. They just shoot off a few words or one-sentence emails because they're incredibly busy. So everyone just has their different style.
And I think that there's room for all of it. I will say with regard to emails and, certain etiquette. I mean, here I am, at the National Blogger Conference, and, women were like, oh, I don't have a business card. And I'm thinking, how do you not come to one of the largest women's conferences in the country and be serious without a business card? I mean, I'm sorry, but I don't get that. And there was some discussion last year about, just bump my phone, I don't need a business card. And to me, that's a really dangerous line of thinking. Do you agree?
I agree with you. I definitely carry the business cards. I think it's really helpful. I think it's a little bit easier than typing in someone's information into your phone. So maybe we're conservative.
Well, but being a branding person, I look at the business card as a branding tool, because if I meet you at a conference and we have a moment together, and I remember, and I'm remembering you in my mind, and then I go through my cards after to organize my contacts that I made, your card's going to stand out to me, and it's going to remind me about who you are and what you do and what your brand's about. So I think it's if people look at it as a branding tool, it can be super effective. So let's talk a little bit about where do you actually see, I mean, looking ahead, waving your magic wand a little, where do you see the next cycle for women's leadership and innovation?
Sure. Well, I really think that leadership is going to change. I think it has to change because the economy is changing and moving so rapidly. One of the things that we're seeing is that healthcare and services are really the next phase of this economy. Physical jobs, production jobs, even to some degree information jobs, which can now be automated, are falling by the wayside. And so we're really seeing a focus on services, on jobs where you have to be a human being, you cannot be a machine. And, women have an advantage there. Women are quite concentrated in healthcare and education, where we're seeing jobs grow. In terms of leadership skills, employers are looking for great communication skills, teamwork, social skills, empathy. And, women might have some advantage there, whether biologically, whether cultural. They're good at that. And so they may be primed for this next phase of the economy that we're moving into.
Well, and along those lines, I just want to get your thoughts on this, because I love Gen X and Gen Y a lot, and I work a lot with them on a lot of fronts. And I think if there's one liability of that generation, it's their interpersonal skills. It's their willingness and ability to go face-to-face and talk to people and have a conversation instead of just thinking a text or an email, is okay. So if in fact leadership and innovation is looking for communication skills, social skills, human skills, then I would say that would be an area where, some of the younger generations would want to skill up a little bit. Do you agree with that?
To a degree.
Okay.
I think that mostly it depends, too, on what job you're in. I mean, if we're talking about graphic design, maybe they're not the most social people you'll ever meet. If we're talking about registered nurses, that's really a big part of their job.
Yeah.
In fact, that's most of the job, right, is listening to people, making sure, you hear and comfort their concerns, helping them get through whatever the issue is. I don't think that the younger generations are disadvantaged in any way, but I do think that that's something that they need to be thinking about and need to make sure is at top of mind, because like I said, employers, they want this. Teamwork is the word. Offices are even being built for collaboration now. So people skills are definitely not going away. They're more important than ever.
Yeah, I was reading something this week that was pretty fascinating here. Talent pools, talent communities, which I thought was very, again, where I guess some of the social media networking is going, where people are converging to support each other, find out about things going on in the workspace. Do you have any? Is that something that you're aware of? Talent communities?
I've never heard of that, but it sounds fascinating. It's like a forum.
Yeah, talent communities as a way to keep employees engaged and retained. They're kind of tied together, but we'll get to that another time. So let's talk about the 100 most powerful women for 2012 list that you are working on. I know I asked you to please give us as much information as possible, but let's talk about the criteria that you use to pick these amazing women and some of the winners from last year.
Absolutely. Well, we're so excited about this list. The Forbes Women team puts this together every year. So it's the list of the world's 100 most powerful women. It's global. It spans all ages. It's basically based on, in terms of power, we're looking at impact, influence, and let's see. Yeah, impact and influence. That's a good way to say it. And we look at money. So if it's a president, then we're going to look at the budget controlled. If it's the CEO of a corporation, then we're going to look at their revenues. We also look at the scope of their constituencies. So maybe that's their population of the people that they influence. Maybe it's their employee count. And then we also really are focusing this year on their impact. So not only do they have a position of power, but are they using that position of power? Are they acting? Are they actually making change? And it's really exciting for us. It's going to be coming out in late August, and we're going to have a lot of interesting features for you.
All right, talk about some of the ones from last year that come to mind that kind of demonstrate some of these criteria that you just talked about.
Absolutely. Well, number one on last year's list was Angela Merkel, the Chancellor of Germany, and she has just been absolutely at the center of the conversation for ever, really, but especially in the last couple years with everything that's happening in Europe. She again is in charge of a giant population, a giant budget. She's in the middle of conversations about what's happening with Europe's finances, how Germany is going to be involved, and she is the quintessential power woman, and was named by us the most powerful woman in the world last year. So we definitely expect to see her pretty high on the list again this year.
Right.
Another perennial person on our list is Sheryl Sandberg, and she is the Chief Operating Officer of Facebook. Facebook has really been in the news lately, especially regarding the IPO. Again, she used her position of power to make that happen. She was one of the orchestrating members of that, and while it's a little bit controversial, it definitely shows her impact.
Yeah, those are good. But this does span different generations and different communities. In other words, it's political, it's entertainment, it's music, right?
That's exactly right. Mm-hmm. We look at politicians, we look at business people, we look at people in the nonprofit world, we look at entertainment, and definitely it spans generations too. I think the youngest person on our list last year was Lady Gaga, and some people wonder why she's on this list, but she's, I think the most followed person on Twitter. She raked in 90 million in 1 year alone. So she is hugely a powerful figure.
Have you seen her in concert yet?
I haven't. I'd love to.
I have. Okay, last year my brother and I, on a total whim, I was visiting him in Tampa and she was there, and we went online, found 2 amazing tickets, and went to see her in Tampa last year. And I love her. I think she's totally intelligent, creative. She's fearless. She's bold. She's just, so smart. And then when I went to the concert and I saw how she handled her fans and the audience and herself, I was like, this girl knows her brand, and she knows who her followers are, and she knows how to talk to them. I mean, she blew us away, to be honest. And truthfully, audience was really diverse, Jen. I mean, it was like, I mean, mostly what you thought it was, but there was a lot of older people there that were enjoying her. So I think that was a great choice. I just want to say one thing about influence, and we talk about influence and impact, and I just finished writing a post that's going to go up here soon on Small Biz Trends about influence, and it's really, I mean, you can point to some really bad people that had influence, and I don't know who designates like people as influencers. Sometimes I get really confused about that. But you said it. Influence is about taking the power that you have and doing good with it. And so each and every one of these people knows how to take their power and use it positively. And I think that's a super important thing. So all right, the list comes out. You said the end of this month, August.
That's right. It'll launch online on August 22nd.
August 22nd, and give us the website where we can find out more about you and some of your writings and where they'll find that list.
Absolutely. Well, look for the World's 100 Most Powerful Women 2012 edition on Forbes.com. To read what myself and my colleagues are doing, go to ForbesWoman.com. And then I am blogging on The Other Half for Forbes, and so a Google of The Other Half would find me.
Okay, so that's ForbesWoman.com, TheOtherHalf.com?
I don't think that's the exact URL.
Okay, just Google The Other Half, right?
Sure.
Okay. Well, we have been joined today by Jenna Goudreau, who's the Forbes Women's Beat journalist. She also is responsible for that top one of the people coordinating the top most powerful women for 2012 list. I want to thank you so much for joining us today. I love what you're doing. We wish you the best and continue to do great work as you're doing. And I hope we can have you back again and talk some more after the list comes out, maybe in early fall. Have you back on to talk about some of the people on the new faces on the list this year.
Oh, it's been so great talking to you, and I'd love to come back.
Well, great. Well, Jenna, you take care now. Jenna Goudreau, ForbesWoman.com. Go check her out. She's awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you so much for joining us today. And thank you, everybody, for joining me on the Metropolis. And please come back and visit us again.
Blog Talk Radio, where millions of hosts and listeners gather.
So it's definitely a big year in women's sports.
It is, and I heard another statistic yesterday on NBC about the medal count, the U.S. medal count, which I think is around 34, might be more by now, but 34, and of the 34, 23 of them were women.
Wow,
and
that's incredible.
Isn't that incredible? And that is... It's definitely, and I think that's going to be the tone of our conversation, because I really feel like women are coming into a new prominence now as a power demo and a leading bloc in a lot of ways. I don't always know that women think of themselves that way, but they are, and I've watched
every day after work. I've been putting it on. I personally love gymnastics, so it was very exciting to watch the U.S. team and Gabby Douglas win the gold.
Yep, and the team win the gold. And when you looked at all the backstories and all the stuff about the girls, I mean, each one of them was a prominent piece of their own, a prominent gymnast of their own, but they came in with such a team attitude, and that's what made them win the team gold, and that was just so obvious and so prominent and so awesome, right?
Absolutely, and I think women have really shown pretty well at the Olympics this year. I was reading recently that every nation sent at least one woman, and actually there are more women that were sent for the U.S. than men.
Has been with Forbes for a while, and prior she was with BusinessWeek, Ladies Home Journal. She's been on CBS, Fox, CNBC. And she contributes to Forbes annual lists of World Billionaires. We're going to talk about the world's 100 most powerful women today that's coming out soon. And she's also won a Best in Business award from the Society of American Business Editors and Writers. So I'm very, very excited to have Jenna on today. Good afternoon, Jenna. Thank you for joining us.
Hi. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, my pleasure. My pleasure. Are you enjoying the Olympics and all the women who are like rocking it this year at the Olympics?
Absolutely. It's incredibly addicting.
And what do you think I spoke about? How to create and host a killer radio show. And it was a wonderful session. We had about 300 girls there that were interested in podcasting. So I'm also especially honored and grateful today. I got notification that I was chosen as one of the top 100 small business champions for this year from smallbiztrends.com, and I'm seriously honored because that's from my peers, and I'm grateful to everybody who voted for me and supported me. So today I am joined by Jenna Goudreau, who is a Forbes journalist. She covers the women's beat, if you will, women's leadership, women in business. And she...
Blog Talk Radio, the world's largest online radio network.
Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to the Metropolis. We are glad that you have rejoined us here this week. I had an amazing time last week in New York City at the Blog Her National Conference. I got a chance to open the conference with President Obama, videoing in, Skyping in, and then we had Martha Stewart as our keynote for Friday, and then Katie Couric as our keynote for Saturday, and also a panel with Soledad O'Brien from CNN. It was just awesome, and got a chance to see my family and get my baby cousins together. So all in all, I was very grateful to have a chance to speak at and attend the conference.